The Union County Board of Commissioners to order and begin our evening with the invocation led by Vice Chair Richard Helms.
If you bow, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for all the blessings that we have received and allow us to recognize all that you do for us. Help us to recognize the true meaning of Christmas and guide us and defend us against the attacks on our faith. Be with us as we depart from being politically correct and stand for the fundamentals that our country was founded upon. We seek your blessings on the task before us. Bless our efforts and ensure our deliberations with clear insight and focus on what's best for our citizens. We seek to serve with respect to all. May our personal faith give us strength to act honestly and well in all matters. Please give special protection to our military, police, and firemen that risk their lives to ensure our safety. Finally, dear Lord, grant us the humility to always seek your will in all that we do and say. In thy name we pray. Amen.
Join us in pledge. Please allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are encouraged in Union County to aspire in all areas of professionalism, and we have with us this evening Andy Neff with Public Works to introduce some guests and to share some achievements made.
Good evening, Commissioners, County Manager. This evening we'd like to have two presentations for our staff that have done remarkable work with achieving some professional goals. And with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Jeff Coggins from Black and Beach. He's a member of the North Carolina American Water Works Association Water Environment Association Board, and he's here to present the awards to our staff.
Thank you all for the opportunity to present to you today. As Andy said, I am a member of the board. I'm actually the vice chair, and it is a pleasure to be here and to present these awards to some of your staff. The first set of awards is regarding our academy. And could I have Brett Fisher, Matt Hargett, and Jamie Hargett come up, please? And as they come up, I'll give a little bit of background on the Academy and the program. The Academy for Water Professional Development is an initiative of the North Carolina American Water Works Association and the Water Environment Association to fill an industry training gap and advance the careers of all participants. The Academy provides a structured and specialized training and certification program for water industry professionals to demonstrate competency in the defined levels through the completion of courses and the passing of comprehensive exams. The Academy offers training in several ladders of the water profession. Ladders consist of water distribution system, wastewater collection system, water treatment, wastewater treatment, and customer service and maintenance technologies for different levels of employee development. Each ladder consists of 4 levels: apprenticeship, journeyman 1, journeyman 2, and then a master's. The benefits of attending the Academy for the Water Professional Development includes leadership development, training of future advancement, improved technical skills development, and potential for career advancement. Before you today are 3 candidates: Matt Hargett, Brett Fisher, and Jamie Hargett. They have all completed the apprentice level and have all graduated and received awards in November at our conference. I will say this is the first class to come through the Academy. So as an association, we're very excited about the program and our candidates. They were 3 of 9 candidates, I believe, that came through, and They were recognized at the association conference in November. I have with them their certificates. Brett Fisher.
Turn around for a picture for the camera. Sorry.
Pictures all to you. Jamie Hargett. And Matthew Hargett. Sure. Can Josh Brooks come forward? So Josh received an outstanding leadership and service award at the conference in November as well. Josh received the Raymond E. Red Ebert Award, again presented at the conference. The Red Ebert Award was established by the North Carolina Waterworks Association, Water Environment Association Board in 1988, and presented annually to an individual recognized by the association who has made significant contribution to the practice of operating a water distribution or wastewater collection system, specifically demonstrating organizational leadership, technical innovation, facility improvement, and/or promoting and/or participating in training, safety awareness, and general knowledge that has led to the upgrading and advancement of the water distribution and/or the wastewater collection system. So this is a collection system or distribution system award. Josh Brooks, Union County Public Works Services Superintendent, distinguished himself, earning this recognition, and was recognized at the conference back in November. Josh is an employee with Union County for over 18 years and has served in several positions, including mechanic 2 crew leader, field supervisor, and is currently utility field services superintendent, holding the superintendent position. This is a very prestigious award. It's a little bit about Red Ebert. I've got some more details about him. He began his career in Winston in 1928, retired in 1970. He spent his entire career serving our association, serving our community in the collection and distribution system. He won the Fuller Award in '64. He was the first recipient of the Golden Drop Award. He passed away in 2005 at the age of 100. Soon thereafter, we dedicated the award to him. It's given annually for individuals that shows characteristics similar to him and his leadership he provided. So it's a great honor. It's a really nice plaque and a well-deserving candidate here. Congratulations, Josh.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is to recognize our service award recipients, and we will do so at this time. We have our 5-year recipients, William Smith in Community Services, Maribel Andon in Human Services, Pam Booth, Community Services, Vicki Abernethy in Public Works, April Patricelli in Sheriff's Office, Michael Privet in the Sheriff's Office, Matthew Winfrey in the Sheriff's Office, and Audrey Cruz in Tax Administration, along with Joy Mungo in Human Services. With 10 years of service, David Kale in the Sheriff's Office. With 15 years, Emily Walmsley, Richard Guff, she was in Human Services, Richard Guffey in Public Works, and our own Sheriff Edwin Cathy in the Sheriff's Office. With 25 years service, William Thompson, Officer Thompson there in the Sheriff's Office, and our December retirement, our own John Whitley, Board of Elections with 10 years of service. So congratulations to these employees, and good luck to John in his retirement. At this time, we'll turn it over to the manager for introduction of our Public Health Division Director.
Thank you. Mr. Joyner, would you please come to the podium? As you heard during our work session earlier this evening, Mr. Joyner has been with us. This is his second week of employment with Union County as our health director. Prior to joining Union County, he worked for 12 years with the Stanley County as their health director, as well as he's worked with Carolina's Community Health Institute and Forsyth County Health Department. In all of his positions, Mr. Joyner has been involved in community health planning, program development, community health assessment, grant writing, and project management. He is also the president-elect of the North Carolina Association of Local Health Directors and will be moving into the president's role in January. He holds his undergraduate and graduate degrees from the University of North Carolina School of Public Health. And we would like to welcome you to Union County, and if there are any comments you would like to share with the board.
Thank you very much. I look forward to working with all of you here in Union County. It's been a warm welcome during the first week, and I'm impressed with what I've seen, and I'm excited to begin working with the Human Services group here. So look forward again to working with each other.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
to have you. Well, I heard it said once that the two happiest days in a boat owner's life is the day he buys a boat and the day he sells it. And the two happiest days in a chairman's life might be the day you hand him the gavel and the day he lays it down. But having said that, we had one in this seat right here last year that did an outstanding job. A tremendous leader here in Union County, and we want to congratulate Frank Akmus for his service. On behalf of the citizens of Union County and this board, congratulations.
Thank you much
for your hard work.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Next item is a public hearing for Wingate University.
Yes, Commissioners. This is a $25 million bond financing that Wingate University is completing through the Wisconsin Public Finance Authority, and we serve as a conduit issuer for the bonds. This does not place any obligation on Union County with respect to fiscal responsibility for these bonds, but we are required to conduct a public hearing before the university can, in fact, issue the bonds.
Thank you. So at this time, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone do we have anyone to sign up and to speak? No? On behalf of Wingate? We have no one signed up to speak, so at this time, we'll close the public hearing. Our next item is informal comments. We have no one signed up this evening to speak. So our next item is additions, deletions, and adoption of the agenda. Commissioner Helms.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to add an engagement of separate counsel to our consent agenda.
Okay.
Motion to approve consent.
We have a motion. Any discussion? All in,
Sorry, my apologies. Motion to approve the agenda. Is that what you're asking?
that's what I'm asking for. We have that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. Next item is approval of our consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. That will take us to our old business, I believe. which is item number 20, conditional rezoning of secure turf. Public hearing was held on December 4th of 2017.
And Mr. Matthews, I don't know if you had any additional information for the board or wanted to read the conditions associated with that rezoning.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'd actually like to just go over the conditions again, and then talk about what the commissioners' certainly options are, and then answer any questions you might have. So, as indicated, this was a conditional rezoning. This particular one was for an agribusiness as well as a reclamation landfill. The conditions are as follows. Number one, they will have to comply with the site plan and all components of the site plan, and that's always part of our approval request. Number two, the applicant is requesting a vested right for up to 5 years according to North Carolina general statutes. That is also a request. Let's see. The approval is based on certain uses. Number one, a reclamation landfill of 1 acre or less, which shall be used only by the business occupying the premises and only for stumps, dirt, limbs, and other natural materials that are collected as part of the landscaping business. The agribusiness, which is the landscaping business, shall include employee dispatch, storage and maintenance of business equipment, office space and mulch processing, and also the landfill, reclamation landfill must comply with all federal and state requirements and receive a permit per the North Carolina Department of Environment and DEQ. This request is here tonight. Your options are, you can approve the request as it is, you can deny the request, and you can certainly negotiate any conditions you might want to have in addition to those that have been listed and discussed. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have on the project.
Commissioner Rushing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion to approve the rezoning and adopt the applicable consistency statement.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, none. Item 21.
Yes, this is a conditional rezoning referred to as Truffle Plaza. Your public hearing was held on December 4th, and I will turn it over to Mr. Matthews.
All right. Again, this was a conditional rezoning request. This was a piece of property on Providence Road, Highway 16. The request is go from R40 to CZ, Conditional Zoning Office. This was a sort of a hybrid where they gave a footprint or an envelope for development on the site, but they didn't give site-specific requirements. They didn't give a building location. They didn't give parking location. So we call this more of a hybrid. There are some conditions which are being requested. Number one, that if approved, the site would have to comply with the site plan as submitted. And there are some general requirements on the site plan. Also, as far as verbally goes, the site is specific to some types of uses, and those uses are office use, personal improvement services, studio, instructional or service, daycare center, animal services, which include grooming or training, supplies, and a veterinarian clinic. There are some additional conditions which the applicant has actually proposed. Number one, when it comes to the veterinarian clinic, there would be no overnight boarding of animals shall be permitted unless it's accessory to a veterinary clinic or hospital. Also applied to that is overnight boarding must be located entirely indoors. And animals that are placed in outdoor runs for exercise or for using the bathroom must be attended at all times. Also, they are requesting a vested right on this project for up to 5 years per North Carolina general statutes. Some additional conditions which they have requested are, number one, the site would not exceed 40 feet in height or 2 stories total. Also, they have agreed to meet our lighting standard, which requires a photometric lighting plan. We have 2 types of lighting requirements. One is much less stringent. They said they will actually go along with a more stringent requirement, which requires a photometric lighting plan, and they cannot exceed a 1/2 foot candle outside the perimeter of the property. They've also agreed to an undisturbed buffer adjacent to the residential property of up to 10 feet. And anywhere that undisturbed buffer does not meet our S2 screening requirement, they will supplement the plantings in order to meet an S2 screening in that area. Let's see what else we've got. And then, of course, they'll comply with any requirements with the North Carolina Department of Transportation as far as improvements go, and they have agreed to dedicate the right-of-way necessary for the road improvements for 16 in the future, which is a 20-foot right-of-way that they are agreeing to donate or dedicate to the project. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. Also, the board's options are approve the request as submitted, deny the request, or negotiate any additional conditions you might wish to have.
Questions? Commissioner Simpson?
Yes, sir.
Just so I understand, the applicant has not narrowed their request for uses, correct? It's
That
still
is
pretty broad.
my understanding, yes, sir. I've not received anything narrowing the request for actual uses. The narrowing is only that animals being boarded are specific to veterinary clinic, and that they must be indoors or they must actually be watched while they're outside. That's the only thing we received from them.
Are you aware of any conversations changing that to more of a focused?
I'm not aware of any.
Okay. Thank you. Jeff, our three options on this are approve, deny, or
Board may also defer consideration. Invite it to the planning board.
There's no one here representing the group is to answer questions.
No one here representing? Okay, thank you. What's the pleasure of the board? Commissioner Rushing?
Mr. Chairman, we've looked at and already rezoned the property just near this, and some of the concerns that I heard from the neighbors, especially the properties I believe that back, completely up to it, they're valid concerns, but that is slated to be an area where we would entertain commercial development. It looks like, I believe we've heard some maybe potential other projects coming from that same area. I don't know that what can be done there if something happens to that property, or what can be built there, or what can be put there. Anything could affect the values, I guess, in the area, but I just don't see it hurting the values to rezone it commercial. And I'd be kind of hypocritical to take this and not rezone it when we've done so many other rezonings along that area. So I'll make the motion to do the rezoning request and adopt the consistency statement, applicable consistency statement.
Okay, and that consistency statement is on the way to you. We have a motion. Is there further discussion?
I don't disagree with commercial. It's within the neighborhood district. I think it fits for 16. My concern is the broad scope with which the applicant's requesting. My preference would be that we
since no one it doesn't appear anyone from the community or the neighborhood or from the applicant, there's some community. The applicant's not here. I would prefer to send it back and have to defer it, but I can't support it with that broad of a request. I think it just allows too many uses. Our other rezoning requests that we've approved have been a little bit more narrowed or focused, and this just appears to be a shotgun approach that I'd like to have a little bit better understanding of what would go there and how it would impact the area.
Be glad to entertain a friendly amendment, or you'd rather
Would-
defer?
That would be my preference if you'd make it a friendly amendment to defer.
I'd be glad to accept that.
Okay, I'm not sure.
If you would like to defer.
Withdraw your motion and
Withdraw
accept the
the
motion.
if you'd like to.
Accept the motion from,
I'll make a motion to defer it back to the planning board requesting additional information or modification to their request.
Does it need to go to the planning board, or does it need to come back before us?
It is up to the board. It can go back to the planning board for more discussion with the planning board and to come back with some amended conditions, or it could come back to this board. Either way will work appropriately.
Or does it come back to our board?
Well, because it was not unanimous, my request would be they go back through the planning board.
Whatever the board's pleasure.
So motion to defer the rezoning, sending it back to the planning board for the applicant to work with the planning board on a more focused.
So actually, the ordinance, then your motion is to remand to the planning board for further consideration.
Yes. Thank you.
everyone clear on the motion? Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Item 22, some appointments to boards and committees.
You have appointments before you this evening for the Juvenile Crime Prevention, the Library Board of Trustees, and the Monroe Union County Economic Development Advisory Board.
First is Juvenile Crime Prevention Council.
Motion to appoint David McQueen as the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council.
We have a motion. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Next item is our Library Board of Trustees.
I'll make a motion that Myra Stams Helms, Margaret Snowden, and Gustav Arvello be reappointed.
Okay, we have a motion. All those in favor of that, say aye. Aye. Opposed, none. And finally, the Monroe Union County Economic Development Advisory Board.
Make a motion that we reappoint Ray Black and Mike Lutz.
Hearing that motion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, none. Item 23, our 175th anniversary.
Yes, tomorrow, Union County will celebrate its 175th anniversary of becoming Union County. In tribute of that event, we have created a video. It's approximately 20 minutes long that we would like to, to show to the board.
It's been 175 years.
Right, so we have a lot of ground to cover. Also would just like to make mention that tomorrow there is a celebration that starts at 1:30 in the ground floor conference room, where it will be very minor, but cake and punch, I think, is what we are, to commemorate our anniversary, and we have sent out invitations to that. And if the board doesn't have any questions, we will proceed with the video.
There's a history from Lord Anson, the land grant, that basically started out around here.
The Union County that we know today is a lot different than Union County was in 1842.
Well, you have to start with when our first court was done and why we needed our own courthouse or court meeting place. It was too far to get to Anson and too far to get to Mecklenburg. I think it took you a whole day, so you probably ended up having to spend the night. Just like other counties were formed as well, they needed the same thing. We just petitioned the state and said, look, we need to be our own county.
So in 1840, a group of men met, filed a petition, and asked our North Carolina legislators to form Union County. That did not pass. The bill was not ratified. It took a second petition filed to get approval and to be ratified.
So a piece of Mecklenburg and a piece of Anson, and we like to say the best parts, were taken to form Union County.
There was some heated debate on what the new county's name would be, but the end result was that it was called Union, the Union of Anson and Mecklenburg.
Union County met at the area called Labatt's Crossroad. It was named after Abraham Labatt. He lived in the Houston community. Labatt's Crossroad is at Rocky River and Newtown Roads.
And there was a cotton gin there at Labatt's Crossroads, and the cotton gins had a room in them that was called the clean room. The clean room was where all the cotton, after it had run through the gin, went into before it was baled up and shipped off. And it was a good sized room, and that is the first meeting room of the Justice of the Peace in Union County, and those are where the first meetings took place for county government, was at Labatt's Crossroads.
But the legislature had stipulated that the county seat must be within 2 miles of the center of the area. Henry Cheney had the land here where our courthouse is now located and sold the county 75 acres for $75. The first courthouse was built out of wooden clapboard. Wasn't very big. The specifications are so listed, but no picture of it sitting on this square exists. However, when it was moved in 1886 to allow for the courthouse to be built, it was turned into a livery stable or a horse sale barn.
Looking back at 175 years of Union County, I think the most important first climax was the railroad coming to Union County in 1872.
The Seaboard Rail Line coming out of Wilmington was expanding west, but the route had not been selected. And the county commissioners at the time knew that. What they did is they hired a representative or a lobbyist to speak on their behalf at these meetings where the route for the railroad was being chosen. And in order to influence that decision or have a greater voice in that decision, the county commission decided that they were going to buy railroad stock. So they bought $60,000 worth of railroad stock, and that was through a bond that they issued. And through their representative, their lobbying efforts, and through the stock that they owned and the votes that they controlled, they were able to help determine the route of the railroad and had it come through Union County. So that gave Union County its first big economic boom.
And it came through several Union County towns. but Monroe was, of course, a stopping point. It increased the market value. Cotton, of course, was the main crop here, and it allowed the farmers to send their cotton to more distant places. But if you look at the population statistics between 1870 and 1880, there was a dramatic growth.
When the railroad came through, they didn't find that many people were stopping and either staying the night in Union County or seeing what Union County was all about. So, as I like to think of it as Union County's second big economic development project, the commissioners at the time decided that they needed a new courthouse. So plans in the early 1800s began to be made to replace the original courthouse with the courthouse we see today on the square in Monroe. And they wanted to make it a grand structure, something that as people came into Monroe and they looked up the hill from the train, that they would see this big grand courthouse on top of the hill, and it would make them want to get off the train, or at least be interested in getting off the train and taking a look to see what was going on in Union County.
At first, it had, I think, some kind of cupola, but it didn't have the clock tower until, I think it was right before 1900 they put that in. We're so proud of the historic courthouse, and of course it's used as the letterhead for Chamber of Commerce and telephone books and all. Over the last 175 years, there are a number of people that stand out. The Belts were very important because, of course, their first store was here in Monroe on Main Street. It was 1888 that they opened their first store. And there were two brothers. William Henry Belk was the main one that opened them, and then he, in just a few years, taught his brother, Dr. John Belk, who was practicing medicine down in Anson County, to go in with him. So for many years it was called Belk Brothers, and then they opened stores all over the South. It was the place to shop. Helms' name is very predominant in a lot of ways. And Jesse Helms, of course, was a native of Monroe.
Jesse Helms was 30 years in the United States Senate, the longest serving United States senator from North Carolina. He played a pivotal role in politics of the end of the 20th century, the beginning of the 21st. But his tie to Union County is always very strong, and Wingate University is a critical part of the county, and Senator Helms brought many luminaries, great speakers from nonpartisan basis, from Madeleine Albright to Margaret Thatcher to Kofi Annan from the United Nations to Bob Dole to Henry Kissinger. He brought them to the campus and to Union County, helped put Wingate University and Union County on the map.
Just prior to 1896, some local Baptists from the Chesterfield Association, the Union County Baptist Association, decided that they needed a secondary school for the young men and women in their community. So this was before secondary education, so in 1896 they opened up the Wingate School to both young boys and girls in this community to help with their schooling. Well, the state of North Carolina eventually decided to offer free public education, so we moved from the Wingate School to Wingate Junior College, and we were in that position for 60 years or so, until again the state of North Carolina decided to invest in the community college system. And it was at that point that Wingate, being wise and needing to evolve again, became a 4-year baccalaureate degree institution in 1976. So in 1996, at our centennial, we were offering master's degree programs and knew that the future of the university was going to be a combination of undergraduate, graduate, and professional programs, and we were growing and becoming a more comprehensive enterprise. So it was at our centennial in 1996 that we became Wingate University and have evolved into the comprehensive university we are today. And so we've had an impact from education to economic development to just the arts in our community. We have music venues, arts venues, athletic venues, so we think we contribute to all aspects of the quality of life of our county, and for that we're very proud. So as we think about our future, we're currently about 3,500 students, and we believe that we can grow to somewhere north of 5,000 students with a rich mix of undergraduate programs, graduate degrees, professional programs, and be of real service to both the state of North Carolina and to our region, where we now have a full range, offering over 30 baccalaureate degrees. We have master's degrees in business, education, and sports sciences, as well as physician assistant studies, and then we also offer doctoral programs in education, pharmacy, and physical therapy.
I think one of the most important things that Senator Helms probably did for Union County during his time in the United States Senate was he had a great interest in agriculture. And as we all know, agriculture is very, very important to Union County.
The bulk of the county remains still agriculture, and not only is it dedicated to agriculture, it is one and remains one of the top producing ag counties in the state, and we continually rank to 1, 2, or 3 in all the major commodities that the state produces. And as you probably are aware or aren't aware, North Carolina's #1 industry is agriculture.
One other aspect of agriculture that has been big in Union County is the development of contract poultry production. What that involved was in the early days, farmers grew a few chickens, had a few eggs for their family, but farmers saw the opportunity to sell eggs and poultry to markets like Charlotte. So those enterprising individuals began to provide the feed and the management for those birds, and the farmers provided the labor and the management. It was known as contract production, and Union County grew to become one of the largest contract poultry areas in the state of North Carolina, and it remains that to this day. We're like #2 in broiler production in the United States. We are #1 in wheat production. Most of our wheat goes to like Charlotte for milling and produces flour, although some of it is also used in livestock feed. But with the people in place, the technology available, the progressiveness of the Union County agricultural community, along with the population centers that surround us, I believe that agriculture will remain a major component of Union County's economy.
In November of 1941, the Army had maneuvers in 16 counties in North and South Carolina, and the headquarters was at Monroe Country Club. Early in 1942, the Army decided that Fort Bragg was too crowded and they needed some temporary camp to substitute for like engineer training. The local leaders, they convinced the Army to set up a camp here. And it was on 2,500 acres just east of Monroe. And they had another 5,000 acres down near Pageland that was a firing range. It was named Camp Sutton pretty soon because the first man that was killed in the war, who was local, was Frank Sutton. They had thousands of soldiers here, and many thousands more than the population of Monroe, for instance. In 1944, there were about 500 German prisoners of war that were housed at Camp Sutton. And then about 3,500 Italians. They had been prisoners of war, but since Italy was at that time out of the war, they were called collaborators. So they shut down the camp in 1945. Then the property was surplus, and so it was offered originally to the original owners. Some of them took it back, but other developers bought chunks of it and developed it. Obviously, after the war, that was prime real estate. And after the war, the local leaders were trying to create non-agricultural jobs. They wanted to diversify the economy.
The three fundamental reasons that people move to Union County: low prices, quality schools, and a rural atmosphere. We've done a marvelous job of making available to our residents the amenities that are important to them while still maintaining our relatively rural lifestyle.
Planned progress, that's what they want, and that's what each city has. They have planned progress, and they have the things that that community wants. Good places, good communities, but they have grown them the way the people that live there want it to be. So it's, we're very fortunate.
When you have some of the top schools in the state, when you have people who care, that the quality of life is just excellent.
We are a positive city, we're a positive county, we're a go-to people, and certainly you'll see the friendliness of the city and of the county.
We actually wave to people and smile to them. We hold the door. We salute the flag. This is a pretty cool place.
Union County has a lot to be proud of in that our citizenry has always come forward to help others. It's a good place to live.
Well, thank you all for your attention, and I hope you go away with the same feeling that I did, that I learned so much about the county in which we live. Truly some fascinating information, and we had not, until we publicly showed the video, it has not been placed on our website, but we'll be placing it on our website in commemoration of our 175th anniversary.
Excellent job. My congratulations to all the staff members and those who had a part in putting that together. It was really good.
Very nice.
And our historian, Mark Watson, who knows, I think, everything about Union County.
Okay, next item is item 24, the Yadkin River Water Supply Project.
Yes, and if I can have Mr. BOCC come forward, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. County Manager. What we have in front of you tonight is just a request for the board to actually direct staff to come back and make a formal presentation at your next board meeting, presenting to you criteria that would be utilized by the board in determining whether or not to move forward with design-build type of construction methodology for the Yadkin Regional Water Supply Project. I'm sure the board knows, but for the benefit of the community, we have been studying an Eastern water supply project for over a decade. We moved into a partnership with Norwood back in 2013 for a specific project to bring water from Lake Tillery to Union County. As we have gone through the permitting and planning phase of that project, we're now at that point of getting ready to move forward with the final design and construction. Staff working with their external consultants has looked at this project, which again will be the largest project that Union County has ever undertaken. Some current ballpark planning estimate is about $200 million. The recommendation is to package that as two separate projects, one being the intake off of Lake Tillery and the raw water pumping station and pipeline to bring that water into Union County. And the second project would be the construction of a new water treatment plant in Union County and the finished water transmission mains from that plant connecting it to the rest of our distribution system. So that is the gist of the project, and the recommendation again, and all the action we're looking for tonight is to direct us to come back at the next meeting with that specific criteria for the board to consider.
Questions for Ed?
I think we've talked about this in the past, but I'd like to see more detail on your finished water transmission main and how it will affect and serve the parts of the county in the northern and southern portions which it comes through.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see much more detail in that. I think there's been a difference of opinion in the past on how that comes through, so I'd like to have some discussion.
Sure, certainly.
With respect to that, not to get too bogged down in the information you're going to bring us back, but maybe a little historical perspective as how we move through time and the need for this and the direction that we're going in as to why would be beneficial. Well, I will move to direct staff to give a presentation at our January 2nd meeting with regard to the raw water intake pumping station and the treatment plant and finished water transmission main. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Thank you, sir. And that takes us to Ms. Cotto's comments.
Yes, and I would just like to wish the board, staff, and the community a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and look forward to 2018.
Very much. Commissioner Akmus.
Yes, I'd also just like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, and with that, I'll wish everyone a good evening.
Commissioner Rushing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I'd also like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and look forward to 2018.
Mr. Lance Simpson.
Again, wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. Hope everyone enjoys the time with their families, friends, or significant others.
Mr. Helms.
I'd like to also thank our law enforcement, our sheriff's deputies for the support they give us on an ongoing basis, and also wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, and I look forward to seeing you in January.
I want to again congratulate Matt Hargett, Brett Fisher, and Jamie Hargett, along with Josh Brooks, on their interest in their occupation, their desire to serve Union County, and their wish to better prepare themselves and to improve their professionalism in the job that they do every day. So congratulations to them again. As with everyone, a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and we look forward to a prosperous and outstanding 2018. So with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye.